I am Kyla, and I am interviewing Mr. Radia, the CEO of Bankers Trust. What made you want to come to the U.S.?
I grew up in East Africa, and I was always interested in traveling. And I had been to England because there was a very strong British influence on East Africa. And I had a lot of friends I played golf with, and most of them were Americans, and they were diplomats. So they worked for the U.S. Embassy. And I thought they were pretty neat people. So I said, hey, I'd love to go to their country. So that's how I was interested in coming to the U.S.
Cool. What kind of traditions did you celebrate in Africa?
My ancestry is Hindu. My ancestors came from India to Uganda, and I was brought up in a Hindu household. So similar to the Jewish faith, they have their own days of celebration, and there were several. But the most popular one was called Diwali, and that is a celebration where you're allowed to play with fireworks. So that was a lot of fun. And they weren't the kind of fireworks we have in this country. They were more modest, but we had a lot of fun with fireworks. So that was our biggest day, and you always got some nice new clothes. So there were a lot of traditions that the Indians had carried over all the way into Africa. So we had several. I think we had 6 of them.
Interesting. What obstacles did you have to overcome to come to the U.S.?
The main obstacle I had to overcome was that, I didn't start learning English until I was 11. We didn't speak English at home. So there are people who tell me that I still don't speak English. So, it was hard. It was really hard. I was shy. And the English that is spoken in Uganda is the British influence. So there are many words that are not exactly the same in terms of meaning. So I had to learn that Americans and the British have a lot in common, except they don't share the same language. There are some serious differences. So I had to figure out that perhaps this Queen's English that I learned was not spoken in this country. Americans use a lot more slang. They're very practical about their usage of the English language, but they use a lot of slang.
Was it difficult to learn English?
For the first 2 years, it was difficult only because of the fact that I had to get used to what some people were saying, in terms of some specific what we would call as idiomatic expressions. Back in those days, I would say to myself, I never said it out loud, I said these idiomatic expressions that the Americans use, they should change it to idiotic expressions.
Did you like school? Why or why not?
I was always a very good student. I studied a lot. I was a very serious student. I was kind of a boring person. I still am. So I did a lot of reading, and I really enjoyed reading. So I was a good student. So I really liked school. Yeah, I always tell young people to become lifelong learners. I read about 2 hours every single day, 7 days a week still. And so I always encourage people that if you think about your whole future, a lot of this will depend on your education, how successful you are in life. Education is really, really important.
Yes, I agree. Was this the only place you have worked, or have you worked in other companies?
I have had 3 jobs. I practiced as a certified public accountant for 25 years. Then I was a chief financial officer at Meredith Corporation here in town. And then I was recruited to join Bankers Trust. So I've had 3 jobs in the last 42 years.
That's really good. Was it weird coming to a new country? Why?
Well, yes, it was. My ancestry, as I said, is Hindu. They do not eat meat. My mother still does not even eat eggs. So you think about it, coming to this country and learning about hamburger, and you're going, oh my gosh, they eat beef, because you see, the Hindus worship the cow because you get milk from the cow. And if there's one food that you should have always, it's milk. And they are absolutely So they do not eat meat for the most part. So coming to this country and being exposed to meat was very unusual. And it was a little bit like, wow, they really kind of like their meat here. And so I still don't eat much red meat. But, you know, I cope with it. Sometimes when I go to an event, especially a big event, where everybody's getting the same meal, I might not even eat my food just because I don't eat a lot of meat. But, you know, that's the way I was raised. So, yeah, the diet was difficult. I also found that we like to eat. We eat a lot.
Thank you so much. That's all I have for you today.
Well, thank you, and all the best to you.